It's Thursday here at Origin Game Fair, and I'm going to take my annual opportunity to speak with Mark H. Walker from Flying Pig Games, as well as Tidy Battle Publishing and Ya Magazine.
Yeah, don't forget Dark War role-playing game, too.
We're going to talk about that because that is something new that I don't think you've delved into a lot in the past.
No, I'm kind of a novice at it. I added it as part of my Dark War novel, Retribution, so I added it as part of the Kickstarter, and it has been a blast. It has been an absolute blast. It took forever to design it. I had no idea. I mean, when you look at Pathfinder or you look at Dungeons and Dragons, and you're looking at a rule book that's that thick.
Yeah, 400 and some pages.
Oh,
sure.
it's beyond comprehension because this took me a year and a lot of time of that year, and I have a rule book that's like that. But of course, that's what I promised was a light role-playing game and skirmish game.
Right.
Had so much fun. I ran several campaigns with different groups. Really enjoyed it. It was such a blast.
From what I've seen, and I have to be honest, I am not familiar much with Dark War outside of posting a news piece when you broke the news about it. It almost seems to me almost kind of a little throwback, a little bit what some folks like call old school Renaissance. And I kind of get a feeling it's very focused on tactical action.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of story to it, and I think that's the groups that I've run have really liked the story.
Sure.
Simply put, the story is World War III, 1985, with Paranormal Trap mixed in with it.
Right.
So you have nut and bolt type combat, and then you also have paranormal beings, which are not wacky and crazy. I mean, that's the point of this. It still stays gritty.
Sure.
If you have a werewolf charging you, and by some reasons you could control an M60, and you lace that werewolf, he's still going down. I mean, he still has to abide by our laws of physics.
Right.
So
you're going to grease him.
It is tactical, though. It doubles as a skirmish game, and it ships with one adventure you can play right out of the bag, really,
Sure.
and then 3 skirmish adventures. Very simple combat system. I mean, I'm not going to put everyone to sleep with it, but it's a combat system that's based on any 4, or please, any 4 or more that you roll is a success. That's it.
And it's all, if I understand correctly, if I remember correctly, I believe the better your skill is, the larger die you'll get to roll. So if you would roll a die 10. If you were better in a skill, then you would say another skill that you roll a die 6.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the crux of the whole thing. When you're designing a character, this isn't a game that has 20 or 30 attributes. More power to those games, okay?
Right.
But I don't claim that it's that type of game. There are 7 attributes, and you get 10 die. That would be dice, wouldn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
You get 10 dice. You get 4 D4s. 5 D4, excuse me, you get 5 D4s, 3 D6s, and 2 D8s.
Okay.
And you assign those dice to your attributes. Sure. And your attributes are super simple. And I came about it because some of the people that were in my role-playing groups were not gamers. Okay, so I start off with your typical agility. Well, what do you use agility for in Pathfinder? I'm going to guess archers use it, right? And in modern combat, that's shooting, right? That is not inherently obvious to people that aren't gamers.
Right.
So what we have is we have shooting. We have
it's like you have some role-playing
melee.
games that actually have dexterity and agility.
And more power to them, again.
Attributes. Yeah,
hey,
right.
there are people that like ASL. There's no accounting for taste. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't say that. But anyway, what I mean is...
the guy from Multi-Man's coming right for us.
I don't think they've been here for several Origins, have they?
Doubt they.
I love Multi-Man publishing. I edit that out. I love Multi-Man publishing, and I mean that. But anyhow, so we kept it simple. If you're shooting, you use a shooting attribute. If you're meleeing, you use a meleeing attribute.
Right.
When somebody shoots at you, you use a dodge attribute. And as you said, the more dice and the higher the dice that you have assigned to an attribute, the more chance you have for success.
Sure.
if you're shooting with 2d8s, you're going to hit more often than if you're shooting with 2d4s.
Right.
So that's it.
So a success number that you have to beat.
Yeah, that's all there is to it.
Cool. So that is something completely new and different from Flying Pig Games.
Actually, from Tiny Battle.
Oh, it's from Tiny. Oh, that's right. It's from Tiny Battle. Something we should talk about are what most people are going to be familiar with your work on wargaming and combat simulations, things like that. So Armageddon War just recently came out. It was going out to Kickstarter backers and so on. It is available for purchase.
Yep, we have shipped, as far as I know, all the Kickstarter orders are shipped.
Right.
I'll say that to you and get 3 emails tonight. I had no idea. Yeah.
And I actually did an unboxing for it this past week.
Yes,
so
thank you.
We're going to dive into it and play it. Of course, reviews on the horizon. And you got a lot going on in that. And that is a near future conflict. And it's the United States. And it takes place in the Middle East. So it's the U.S., Russia, Israel, as well as some other Arab militias and countries and so on.
ISIL, Syria, just rebel militia. Now, although, we all we like playing with these big tanks and stuff. If you're war gamers, if you're not war gamers, you're probably saying, no, I could care less. But the point is, America's not like a central player in this game. Neither is Russia. It ships with 16 scenarios, and off the top of my head, I can't tell you how many have American units.
If I remember
4
correctly,
maybe.
As far as like the counter count,
right.
I noticed that it did look like there weren't a ton of U.S. units or Soviet or Russian units, I should say.
Right. No more Soviet. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's 2 things. Like I said, I think both of those 2 nationalities have about maybe 4 scenarios each. Only one where we fight each other, and there are rules in that you get penalized for shooting each other.
Right, okay.
Because that's just not the way of the world right now, and so that's the way it is. But it's also is that the few units that are there are so powerful that it represents, how whatever, without getting too much military specifics, how just a few units can take on a large number of lesser units. So, yeah, what's new about Armageddon War, can I throw this out, or do you want to ask it, is that we use dice. We use printed, stamped dice, kind of like anybody who's played Fantasy Flight or
Ares Games does that a lot. Yeah.
Cool Mini or Not.
Right.
One of my favorite games of this year is The Others from Cool Mini or Not, and it uses stamped dice also. Well, the point is that rather than look up firepowers and that type of stuff and looking on a big chart or whatnot, what you have are dice that you have simply, if something has a firepower of 7, attacking something with a defense of 3, you pull 3 of these black dice. They're your baseline dice. If nothing else is happening, you roll them. Every explosion's a hit.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Right.
More complex than that, but that's simple. Yeah.
And you've also got another expansion, which is Burning Land. And that's going to kind of does it? Because I haven't done an unboxing on that yet. Does that kind of expand what's going on in this conflict?
That's a good way to put it, because it does expand what's going on in the conflict.
Like the heat gets turned up?
It basically addresses Jordan's fight against Hezbollah in this conflict.
Right.
Now, there are also some Russian units fighting in this, and there's some Americans also. And it introduces a beautiful new map that is rough country, like the mountainous northern region in Jordan. Very pretty. So yeah, that is how it expands the story, and it expands the type of scenarios you get, because rather than these desert scenarios where you have these long line of sight, there's all these hills and very restricted roads suitable for ambushes and stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Another thing to mention about the Armageddon War system is you really don't have traditional turns.
If I can have your attention, now 1:30.
Yeah.
Hey, This is very quiet compared to Gen Con.
Oh, is it really?
Oh, yeah, when the announcements come over Gen Con, it is just booming.
Well, my theory has always been with announcements is that you should find the guy or girl on your staff that hates to talk the most, and they should be your announcer. But anyway, moving back to the, there are no turns in the traditional sense. Now, it's a chit draw system, which many people will be familiar with. I used it in World at War. God knows, Herm, who you're going to talk to soon, has used it in his Civil War games and stuff. It's just very common anymore. Yeah. The only difference, and it's really not a huge difference, the only difference is that rather than go through and either pull all the chits or there are end turn chits or anything like that, let's say you have 6 formations. As you draw them, you lay them down on this timeline, and when the 6th one is laid down, you pick up the first 5, throw them in the cup, and keep going.
Right.
So the scenarios are actually defined by activations, not turns. So like yada, 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 scenario length, 34 activations.
Yeah.
So that's new. Not radical, but new.
Right.
Yeah.
Something else we should share a little love for are the 2 volumes of Old School Tactical.
Thank you very much.
Volume 2, really enjoyed it. And I thought it was kind of funny because it's like old school, and it's like, yeah, but there's quite a few modern mechanics in it as well. But something I want to talk about is the pocket battles, because I think some folks out there might not be aware that you are releasing various different scenarios with maps as pocket battles.
Right, and that's a real good point, and I'm not just saying that, because we don't get a lot of folks asking us about that. They sell really well. It's not even a complaint, but one of the comments that we've had the most often is the maps for Old School Tactical Volume 1
are so big.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was something I
They're huge. I mean,
that I was surprised at. You didn't go with like a
geomorphic maps like ASL or Lock and Load or anything like that. Right. Like we did with 65 or Night of Man.
Yeah, right.
That's because that's how the game was presented to me from Shane. And after we talked about it, it fit our design philosophy because I'm not going to get too far off here, but this is an important thing to me. What I believe differentiates us from other war game companies are the quality of our games and the size of our games.
Right.
There are games out there being sold that come in small boxes with paper maps, and folks want $100 from them. As you know, and you can see around this booth, we have huge games with huge maps and big counters, and there's a reason for that. It's because quality matters, and it's also none of us are getting any younger. I mean, when you look at the 65 counters or the Night of Man counters, and they're that big, you can see it. And we're going to do that with Herm's game that I showed you, too. Those are going to be 1-inch square counters.
Right, and I am going to be talking to Herman Lettman about Crowbar, which is going to be the next title you're going to bring to Kickstarter in the very near future. But I'm going to go right to the horse's mouth. I'm going to talk to the designer of that game.
And I'm glad you are, because I might make a fool of myself. I just know that anything Herman designs, I want to publish.
Sure, right.
And I've read through the rules, so I'm not completely ignorant. Anyhow, talk about pocket battles in a second or so. So, to address the huge map thing, Shane said, why don't we put out some 11 by 17 type maps?
Right.
For small battles that people can play on. So that's how pocket battles came to be. It was a stretch goal for the Kickstarter. Stretch goals are a blessing and a beast. But the thing is that once you do get them, and they always make the game late, but once you do get them, people come to your website and they go, oh, Volume 2. Oh, you also have an airborne expansion.
Yeah, right,
you also have these pocket battles. So it works out pretty well.
Is Mark moving like off of the screen? Okay. Whoa, man! Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Mark. Something else you did for Old School Tactical is you have play mats.
Oh yeah, those are so
pretty
cool. Yeah. I can hold up a play mat. They're these neoprene mats.
And you have Allied and Axis.
Yeah,
colors.
we have German and Americans,
Right.
and the idea behind these things is, of course, is one of the reasons you have to use the entire map is it has these tracks that you can or can't see right now.
I think they can see it.
Okay? Well, when you play with one of these mats, and it feels like I'm holding a scuba diving wetsuit right now, but anyway, when you play with one of these mats, you can use as small portion of the board as you want and fold it up and still have all the tracks that you need.
Right.
So they've been really popular, and we use them when we're demoing the game, too.
Anything else you want to share a little love about Ya Magazine?
Love Ya Magazine. As some of you will know, maybe most of you will know, Ya Magazine is...
I'm not familiar with that magazine. I'm familiar with Ya Magazine.
So anyhow, Ya Magazine...
You're the one who put that on the title.
And people talk about it.
Exclamation point.
There is actually. For those of you...
It's not Yawn Magazine.
For those of you that don't know, Ya Magazine is our let's say quarterly magazine, color magazine, comes with a game that, hey, all that's been done. What's different?
We're not talking a decision game here. We're talking about a playable game that has actually been play tested at some point in the design process.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And two of them have been designed by Herm, and I
now here
absolutely
come the
love the
decision
system.
games guys coming.
Yeah, here they are. Get away. So anyway, what I like about it is, one, the writing in it, I think is a notch above. Two, the layout and the beauty of the magazine is nice. And three, we don't just cover war games.
Right.
That might even hurt our sales. I don't know.
But they are strategy games.
They're all strategy
you're not out there
games.
writing up party games and stuff like that.
No, we're not
It's
talking
right.
about Settlers of Catan. We're not
Right,
talking
right.
about Exploding Kittens. We're talking about Gloomhaven,
Right.
who, by pretty much anyone's definition, is the most popular game of the last 2 years.
Which no one can buy, so I don't know how it's that popular.
I got one. Got one second Kickstarter.
thumbs up?
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
You're the only person I know who owns it.
I can't believe the time put into it is the thing. I mean, when you do get a copy and you look at it, you go, this is insane. Where did this dude find the time to do this?
It's a big old game.
Oh, heck yeah. And all the adventures and stuff. But anyhow, we cover stuff like Gloomhaven. We cover stuff like The Others. We cover stuff like the Conan game from Don't Know Who. Remember?
Ares
Was that it?
Conan.
Yeah. And
There was another Conan board game too.
well, this was fairly recent. This one came out in the last 18 months. If Eddie was still here, he would know because he wrote the article. But, we cover all kinds of stuff like that.
So
and
whatever
we cover
company's
war
check
games.
clears, you got an article for them. I get it, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Anything else you want to share with our viewers, Mark?
No. Just
Thank you for not.
it's great being here.
Thank you for not talking about getting high and playing games.
Did I talk about that last?
Last year.
Last year?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't
You were
get-
talking about just hanging out in Denver, though. That was the whole thing. You're just
Yeah.
mile high playing games.
Exactly. Mile high.
Excellent. Mark, once again, as always, it's great to talk with
Great
you.
to talk with you.
And of course,
Take care, Jeff.
our audience knows they're going to see plenty more Flying Pig game coverage
Yes, you will.
on the Gaming Gang and on the Daily Dope.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great show.
By the way, we'll be at WBC coming up here in end of July. That's the World Board Game Championships up in Seven Springs, Pennsylvania, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That'll be
All
fun.
right. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All righty. Thank you.
Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.